There's so many smokes and mirrors on social media. I think if I was to create a golden rule, it would be always be honest. Data is not just numbers.
Yeah.
Data tells a story. Storytelling is the crux of what the digital marketing space is going to, or what it is about. The people that have done well in social media are people that have been true to themselves. We need to move away from being passive scrollers to being conscious engagers. Gen Z are not passive. Gen Z are they want to feel you. They want a relationship.
Yeah, with you.
So if you're gonna create the content, engage. Everything and everyone is a brand. Take it seriously.
Ooh, take it seriously.
Take it very seriously.
I felt right. Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mindfulness Beyond the Mind podcast. I'm still your host with the most, Keneilwe Maake, and today's topic is none other than the one that we engage with every single day. That's where we see brands being built. That's where our voices are being heard. But there are the do's and the don'ts of how you navigate that space. And that's why I think it's very important that we engage in these thoughtful conversations so that we know what we're doing when we are on social media and we're just not going with the trends that might just end us being looked at in a different or negative light. So to help us navigate this conversation, I am joined by a powerhouse in the digital marketing space, a dynamic storyteller, somebody who advocates for mental health, body positivity, and wellness. I'm joined by Nomzamo Lumbini. Welcome to Mindfulness Beyond the Mind podcast, sis, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I am super excited to engage with you on these conversations. I've been watching you from afar, and since I started knowing you, I think it was in 2021, 2022, and I've been observing how you navigate this landscape, and I think there's no one who's perfect than yourself to take us through the world of social media,
Sure.
you know, the beyond the likes and the shares, the work that goes beyond that, you know. And I think just to sort of kickstart things off, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell us from your mouth, who is Nomzamo, your childhood, how did you grow up, and everything in between, so that we can get to know you better.
Sure. I think introducing me as a powerhouse sort of shook me. I'm like, oh my God, when did I get here?
It always shocks people when you hear somebody talking about you.
Yeah.
It's as though you're reflecting on the journey to say, did I really do that? Is that me?
Yeah, no, it's always shocking to see how people perceive you. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for those positive words.
Amazing.
My name is Nomzamo Lumbini. I go by both my names because in different spaces, people know me as different names.
Yeah.
So most people, family, church people would know me as Nomzamo. And then in the corporate world, for some reason, I think maybe it's because it's 6 letters, it's been easier for people to digest the name Keneilwe.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the streets know me as Liz.
Oh.
So there's that as well. I would describe myself as a multifaceted individual.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that believe in reinventing yourself as many times as you need to.
100%.
So I've existed in different iterations in my life. I grew up in Mpumalanga, in a place called Mayflower, if anyone knows where that is. Shout out to the homies.
MP.
It's deep in Mpumalanga, next to a town called Emelo.
Okay.
I grew up with my mother and my grandmother. My dad worked a job that required for him to travel a lot.
All the time.
So we weren't living with him up until the early 2000s when he relocated to Johannesburg. And then my parents then looked for me to move to Joburg.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that my mom struggled with the most, my mom's a teacher.
Oh.
And she was always bothered that because it's a very small place that we lived in. So it was a small school. It was basically a village school.
Yeah.
The school that I went to is Wesley Memorial, which is actually a Methodist missionary school.
Oh.
So Methodism has been in my life, since birth.
True.
My family has been in the church since the early 1900s, basically. So Methodism always became a part of my life. In school, I would always get bored because I felt like the curriculum and the work that we were doing then was just not meeting my needs.
Yeah.
So then my parents then looked to moving me to Joburg, to a boarding school. I went to Bishop Baven.
Okay.
And from then I think that's where I truly blossomed. There were a lot of challenges because coming from a small rural school, coming into the city to a suburban school, there was a sense of disconnect.
Yeah.
Because the culture there was so different to what I'm used to. It was a bigger space. It was a more affluent environment where I grew up in very, very humble, in a very humble background. So there was that disconnect between the haves and the have-nots. And funny enough, for me, a space of finding myself actually became social media even at that young age. Because I think it was grade 8 or grade 9, I joined MySpace. And even before then, moving away from my family, my mom was still in Mpumalanga at the time. She got me a cell phone so she can stay connected with me.
Yeah, was it a smartphone?
It was a BlackBerry.
Hey,
BBM. That's where I started connecting with people.
Yeah.
And it opened up a whole new world for me. Oh my goodness, I can connect with the people that remind me of who I am, of home, but also connect with new people and have new conversations. And hey, BBM was a shaky space, but we met people there, and it was interesting, and it was fun as a young person to just communicate with people all over the country.
Yeah.
I joined MySpace. If anyone was on MySpace, please shout out. That was such a different time. It was a different time. People always say MySpace was the precursor to Facebook, but it was different.
Yeah.
For example, just on an interface level, when you go on someone's profile on MySpace, you could have a feature where you play music, like when someone views your profile.
And then you play your
there's
favorite.
a song that comes on. So just from that, an auditory and a visual perspective, you get to see who the person is just by popping into that profile. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And at the time, it didn't click to me that this could possibly be a career avenue. So life went on. I was still a child that needed a lot of stimulation.
Yeah.
And because of that, being perceived as the smart kid, there was a lot of pressures on the career that I should take. So in my mind, I knew that I should probably go into the arts because I'm a creative person. Yeah. But based on pressures and family, I actually enrolled at WITS as an engineer.
Oh. I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. Hey, I got to WITS. I did mining engineering for 2 years. Hated it.
Nothing related to you with
nothing.
that. Yeah.
Nothing related.
Yeah, because it's too technical. It's not really like easygoing. You can be creative with
There's
everything.
nothing creative about it. And it just wasn't me. So I didn't do well. And also being a child that has always excelled. Now when you get to varsity and your marks are not what they used to be, it was a shock to the system. And I knew that was because I just wasn't enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I pivoted. I then did a BSc because I still had that thought that to be a smart person, you need to do a smart qualification. And for me, that was science because I've always had a passion for the sciences. I've always had a passion for sustainability. So that's how I ended up doing a BSc. I did my honors, and straight after honors, I worked. So, I'm gonna stop there. But there's been several pivots after that.
Yeah.
But I think even in varsity, that's where social media became a big part of
your life.
Of my life. I started a YouTube channel. I was on Twitter. I became a plus size model through Instagram.
Nice.
So it was a very big part of my life. And still then it didn't click that this is a possible career.
Yeah.
Because at that time, influencing was still new. I was doing third year when Kay Yam started her channel.
Oh.
And it was nice to watch because this is someone we see all the time, and now she's on YouTube, and it's like, oh, nice. But I didn't.
She's making a career out of it.
I didn't think beyond that.
Yeah.
For me, it was like great for her, love it for her.
Yeah.
But,
didn't think much of it.
I'm here with my BSc. I'm focusing on books,
I'm a science
course. Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
still very strict with that, with myself, but life had other plans. And I ended up being the creative that I was called to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that gave me a really good snippet into your life, because for some reason I didn't think you're from Mpumalanga, to be quite honest.
Really?
Somewhere in KZN, you know, like I don't know why, but I was just like, maybe she's from KZN.
Oh, wow.
And all of that. So Mpumalanga was the last province that I could have imagined that you'll come from.
The fact that you didn't even mention my paternal side, because my dad's from Eastern Cape, so I'm also like
Yeah.
there. But KZN, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I just thought Nomzamo. That sounds like, yeah. I think the name for me, I just went with, this sounds like deep Zulu. So yeah, probably KZN somewhere there. So I know you also do quite a lot of work for the church. You know, we have a good social media presence. We have policies that we know of, the do's and the don'ts of how we should behave on social media. How did you come about that?
Was it 2019? Yeah, 2019. I decided to join the Wesley Guild.
Yeah.
I had on-child before and fell along the way because I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So I stopped my on-child journey and picked it up again in 2019. And at the time I was fully ready, fully involved.
Yeah.
And I was in a very small society. At the time I was at Lombardy. Shout out to LA Wesley Guild.
Shout out.
They didn't have a social media presence at all as a church and as the guild. So I thought, I do this for a living.
Yeah.
So let me then, step over and help. So I approached the chairperson at the time, which was Sister Luhle.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to set up a social media page for us. Please allow me to do this. And she is an amazing person. She was just like, go for it. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I started this as an on-trial. It caught the attention of Uvice at the time, which is Brother Lonwabo, which is now the president.
The president, yeah.
And he then recruited me to start doing work for them as a circuit. I started off doing posters, and it grew from there. 2020 COVID hit.
Yeah.
And having done work for the circuit and my society, at the time I was doing the circuit page, the Society Wesley Guild page, and the society page as a whole. I was approached, I actually don't even know how, but I started being approached by other societies and other circuits. A society in the 4-year circuit approached me. I was working with other ministers because we now at home, it's lockdown.
Yeah.
People are trying to figure out a way to connect with
everyone.
Yeah. So I started doing work for them, setting up pages, setting up live streaming. I would literally be on calls with ministers as they record their sermons. I would edit their sermons and post it for them. I then ended up working for the district. I then availed myself in terms of other things like designing T-shirts.
Nice.
So it ended up becoming a whole thing. It didn't just become social media management, but basically brand management. And I allowed myself to learn more about the church.
Yeah.
Because in as much as I'm a person that grew up in the church, I've been a circus steward for years, so I'm familiar with the doctrines and the laws of the church. But with the new social media policy, I studied it and I made sure that I know it to a T so that information can be disseminated.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy for us to just assume that when MCO puts out information, everyone knows. But that's not necessarily true. So I took it upon myself to take this information and let it be known in my spaces, even in casual conversations. I would post statuses like, guys, did you know that you can't put the logos in? The church policy says, and I'm that person that's like, follow the laws of the church. So it became that way in a sense that I allowed myself to be used as a voice for the work that the church is doing, because I'm so passionate about social media and the digital space and using it in a very intentional way.
True.
So through that, I've worked with different circuits, districts, some connectional work, but yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, when I looked at your role within the church, it quickly reminded me of a scripture in the book of Colossians that says, when you do something, work at it as though you're working for the Lord. Because you were very intentional in disseminating the information, making sure that during my own trial, that's when I got to know that, we actually use social media in the right way. It's making sense now how information would quickly get to us.
Yeah.
If there's something happening, there would be posters quickly. And I'm like, how does the church do it? Until I got to hear you presenting on the use of social media in the organization. And that really caught my attention to say, look, everywhere there are rules and there are policies and you need to abide by them. So shout out to you for making sure that the young ones know how to use social media and apply the policies, even in the perimeters of the church. Yeah. I have 3 icebreakers before we get into the conversation. I know we've been talking at length now, but quick icebreakers and then we will engage further. If social media existed during the time you were little Nomzamo, what kind of content do you think you would have been interested in at the time, or you would have put out there?
Oh, that is such an interesting. Actually, I have an answer. If TikTok, for example, existed when I was young, I would have been part of Book Talk. I was a reader. I was an avid reader as a child. I would hate when shame. If iPads existed, I would have been an iPad kid because whenever they say I'd be so frustrated because I'm like, do you not see me reading? Do you not see this novel? So I would have been all up in conversations about books, breaking down books. And even now, whenever I finish reading a book, I'll go on social media to see what other people's conversations are
on that book.
So I would have been a conversationalist within the book space.
Amazing. Did you hear how you played with words there? If TikTok existed during that time, I would have been a book talk.
Yeah.
So you played with words so nicely there, and I'm like, okay, there goes the social media person, creativity coming out of nowhere.
It just happens.
And what's one social media trend you secretly love, even though it makes you cringe at times? Like, I like it, but I don't want people to know that I like it.
It's a safe space. We listen, we don't judge.
We don't judge.
My guilty pleasure with social media is gossip channels.
Mm.
And I hate that I love them. I hate that I love them. But there's always someone saying, hey, did you see this happened? And I consume it, and it's toxic. If you're being very honest, it's toxic. But it's my guilty pleasure because the reality is we all live in a world that's filled with information.
True.
And it is a way of disseminating information. It may not always be for the good reasons. But I think as a person that just loves to know what's happening, it's one of those things.
I don't blame you. I also, when I see somebody posting something on WhatsApp and I don't know about it, I quickly go on social media. I want to check the hashtags. What are people saying about that thing, so that I don't look clueless, though I won't post it or repost it. Same. But knowing for me is like, oh, this is happening in this person's life. And lastly, if you could create a golden rule on social media that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
I think if I was to create a golden rule, it would be always be honest.
Yeah.
There's so many smokes and mirrors on social media, and it's so easy to create narratives and to create a life that's not real.
Yeah.
And for me, at my age now, with nieces and nephews, it worries me that there's so much content that they consume and that assume and believe that it's true, but it's not. So I think the world would be a better place if we were all more truthful.
Yeah, amazing. There was a post that was doing the rounds around 2026, there will be grade 13 or something like that. And my nephew also believed it.
Oh, my goodness.
Am I now going to have to extend my schooling year with 1 year? Like, he was very worried and very confused or frustrated. I'm like, no, man, it's not true. Some websites know how to sell a lie, so don't believe it until the schools actually communicate it to us as parents, and we will then give you the information.
True.
Not everything that you read there should be... sometimes you should take it with a pinch of salt and let it be.
And the thing is, children don't know how to do that. That's the thing.
Yeah, they just believe that if it's on social media, somehow they believe it's true. Yeah. Well, let's get into the conversation, and hopefully we will leave you guys with some great nuggets, because here sits a wealth of knowledge. Somebody who's doing so many multifaceted things. She's into catering. I don't know why she didn't mention that. She's a makeup artist. She sings so beautifully also. There's a time where she sang a Sotho or Tswana song. I can't really recall, but I think it's Joko ya Hao Ebobe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my goosebumps, guys. Let me just say goosebumps. And I was just like, who's this lady? And that really caught my attention. So, yeah. Yeah. Can you sing?
Guys, on the spot.
Can you sing for us?
Yo, maybe later.
Maybe later. Okay, so when we sign out with a penny drop, I'm going to give you, just sing one song, plug us. And if you want to hear her sing more, I don't know if I can say this, but come join us at our opening, second opening. Yeah. Please join us. We will be in Calvary. Come be with us. We will share the dates, or you can check us on social media, our church social media platform, where they share all the details. I'm sure she's going to be one of the leading choir people there, and making sure, umhlabeleli. Yes. So let's get into the conversation. The pivot from marketing. You started as a digital analyst, a junior digital analyst, and then you quickly pivoted into marketing. How did that happen, and what really attracted you in that space?
So, funny enough, the story of how I became a junior analyst is an interesting one, and it's also one that shows that God will direct you to where God is calling you.
Yeah.
After I finished my BSc honors, that January, I put up a post on Twitter and said, I just finished this degree. It's an interdisciplinary sciences degree. I'm good at stats. I'm good at data analytics. I'm good at sustainability studies. This is what my honors research was on. I just completed. I did well in my honors. My GPA is great. I'm looking for a job.
Yeah.
I just put it out there and just continued applying like every normal person.
Yeah.
A man by the name of Peter Soldo, I always remember him, reached out. He DM'd me and said, I saw your post. I own a digital marketing agency and I'd like to interview you.
Yeah.
So fast forward about 3-4 weeks, I got the job as a junior analyst from social media.
Nice.
Because this was now a digital agency, they do everything.
Yeah.
So in as much as I came in through the analytics space, I was exposed to what the account managers, the community managers are doing. And I allowed myself to be involved.
Yeah.
I conversated with everyone. When the graphic designers are busy, I'm there
looking. What are you guys doing?
I became great friends with the account managers at the time. I'm still great friends with them. Abo Sbongile, Abo Chido. And they were so instrumental in shaping me as a person. The guy who's now the CEO, the co-CEO, Vinko Soldo, molded me in terms of data analytics. And he's the guy that showed me that data is not just numbers.
Yeah.
Data tells a story. Data tells you where you are, how you got there, and where you can go.
Yeah.
And the account managers showed me that social media is not just about posting. It's about brand identity. It's about building trust with your audience. It's about finding the right audience.
Yes.
And so I did a few marketing courses. I did some Google Skills for Africa. I would attend seminars. I was that girl who's like, what's happening? I want to be involved.
Yeah.
So after a couple of short courses, I had my performance management review at the beginning of the year. And I said, listen, love this data stuff, amazing, but I think I could give you more if you move me to social.
Yeah.
My boss moved me to social. I started attending brand events and I became the go-to person for whenever the company needed to send someone on site,
Yeah.
I would do live tweeting. I would do live story posting for red carpets. And that's when the social media bug bit. That's when I realized that, oh my goodness, this is where I've always wanted to be. This is where my personality fits. It's everything. I loved everything about it. So then that's when I became a account manager. I would do everything from community management to social media management, paid media management.
Yeah.
And then, I stayed in that company for a long time up until I had to move to a different company.
Yeah.
But that's how the pivot happened.
Amazing. Like growing up, we always knew marketing as something that deals with selling. I think that's how they sold it to us. When you are going to do marketing, you're going to be selling. And I think growing up now, or understanding and having information, we now understand that there's much more to marketing than just us saying you're going to sell something when you're in marketing.
Yeah.
And I hear you speaking about social media managers, community managers, paid social media and all of that. That's just on its own, it just shows you how broad marketing has become, because we're now living in a digital era and everything is digitized. So if you are a student and you're trying to pivot or understand what can you do, try looking at social media, especially if you're interested into the digital space.
Absolutely.
Try tapping into that, or also reach out to the girl, Liziwe. She'll share her social media handles so that you can trouble her, ask her for advice, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind, because she's one person who loves to impart people with information so that you don't do the wrong things, especially on social media. And when we think about brand strategy and storytelling, many people make, as I've said, that marketing is only about selling, but you focus on storytelling in your role. How does storytelling shape or impact the marketing space?
For me, storytelling is the crux of what the digital marketing space is going to, or what it is about these days. Because anyone can have a brand strategy. As you said, marketing technically is about selling. Anyone can sell a brand. What makes the difference between a good brand strategy and a great brand strategy is the storytelling aspect.
Yeah.
Because where storytelling comes in with digital marketing is that you want to speak to people's experiences. You want to speak to people's lived experiences. So when you're selling a product, you're not just putting it out there. You're not just going to say, I sell microwaves. That's not going to get you anywhere. There's 1,000,001 people that sell microwaves.
True.
You want your brand strategy to say, we are living in a world where things have to happen fast.
Yeah.
You have this high pressure job, you have children. We want to offer you a solution that is going to make you make your meals quicker. We're selling you a microwave. So that's where the storytelling comes in. That's where your brand becomes more authentic, because you're not just pushing product. In today's day and age, we are bombarded with ads everywhere and every day. You cannot scroll on a single app. You can't Google anything without being bombarded with ads.
Yeah.
And what makes the difference is when that ad is relevant to you, when it's targeted correctly, so that you're seeing something that's actually relevant to your life in a way that would make your life better.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where my passion is with digital marketing, telling stories. A good example, just to make it more digestible to the people that are watching. Nando's is our god.
Yeah, when
as
it comes
marketers.
to telling stories.
That brand, the people that are working on that brand are doing an amazing job, because they have done such a good job of making the brand more than what it is at face value.
Yeah.
They always tap into what's happening in the world, what our economic situation is, what our social situation is, what the politics are saying.
Yeah.
And they have shaped the brand to be a voice for the people in a very authentic South African way, in a way that is very conversational.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world, every brand should be able to relate in what we call tactical engagement. That is when you look at what's happening socially and you fit the brand narrative into what people are talking about at the time.
Yeah.
And it's a very intricate dance that you have to do, because you don't want to seem insincere. You don't want to seem like you're just jumping on the bandwagon. And I've seen so many brands do that, and it's so unfortunate.
They're doing it wrong.
Because you don't have to jump on every trend, but you have to jump on ways to sell your brand in an authentic way. So yeah, for me, storytelling is the crux of where we are going and the best way to sell.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when you think about storytelling, like as you have said it, how can we as individuals have a storytelling effect, especially on social media platforms, so that we can captivate the right people? Or even on LinkedIn, for example, we tend to not be able to articulate ourselves because we think it's a professional platform. I don't want to come across as papa or something. So how can we like typically tap into that market and then sell ourselves in a way that our employers can see us on those social media platforms?
I think the one thing that we all have to be conscious of is that we all have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And your story is important. And you don't have to be like anyone else. There's space for all of us in social media, in the world as a whole. And your story is very important. So for me, the people that have done well in social media are people that have been true to themselves, that have told their stories in an authentic way. On LinkedIn, you'd find that there's so many professional posts, but the ones that resonate most with people are the ones that have a personal story to tell, or something that's relevant. For example, a lot of posts that I've seen that have done the rounds on LinkedIn is people talking about their experiences with interviews, or recruiters talking about what has worked for them and what hasn't. And that's a very true thing.
Yeah.
That's a very relevant thing in South Africa today, because we're dealing with high rates of unemployment. So in as much as you want to be relevant to the social conversations that are happening, tell your truth.
Yeah.
Don't try to be someone that you're not. I believe everyone's career is important and everyone's career is interesting.
True.
And you never know who needs to learn from your career trajectory.
Yeah.
So tell your real and authentic stories. Yes, obviously the language has to change when you go on LinkedIn. That's just something that you adapt to. But just be honest about your experiences.
Yeah, because sometimes we do get inboxes, especially if you have a title that speaks to probably you might be a recruiter or in HR. And some of the stories that we hear, I personally don't know how to really say to a person in a nice way to say, hey, listen, I get that you're trying to get a job, but next time try this narrative as opposed to just pouring more like, if I don't get a job, my child is not going to eat. And to me, it's just like you're trying to manipulate me to get you in the door.
Yeah.
You know, you're not selling me the skills that identify with the roles that we would have in our company. And I would then potentially say, oh, actually, we might have a role. But you're telling me the opposite, and that's not what I want to hear. And I'm already thinking, if I bring you on board, you're going to give me problems to say, my child, this.
Yeah.
So, I think storytelling is very important in how we articulate it and use it to authentically attract the right people. With the buzz of the new year, people are eager to set ambitious goals, you know, and you've worked in marketing, strategy, and social media as well, where there will be big visions that the client would normally come with for the new year, and you need to therefore articulate it. How can individuals strike a balance between ambitious goals and realistic self-care during that period?
Hey. Okay, I'm going to answer it in a twofold way.
Yeah.
As a marketer and as a person that's in corporate, every company has its career, not career, but the goals that the company has, the KPIs that you have to meet. And in the marketing space, guys, the things that we get from our clients, it's just like, okay, I want you to succeed, but also let's be realistic because you can't ask me for 3 million impressions, but your budget is 500 Rand per post. Come now.
Yeah, how am I going to make it work?
Let's work together. So just to take that, for example, if a client comes to me with a very lofty goal, but they're not putting in the work in terms of giving me a proper marketing budget,
Yeah.
then it's a different conversation to say it's either let's now come down with the numbers that we're looking for, or let's come up with the amount of effort. Because with social media, anything is possible. You can get the highest impressions, you can get the best reach, but you need to put in the work in terms of your budget, your social media strategy, the types of posts that you move, the resources in terms of the people. Because let's be honest, a lot of marketers will relate to me. You'll be hired as a social media manager and you find yourself being the copywriter, the graphic
doing
designer, everything. So let's just be realistic with that. And I say that to say in our personal lives, I am a person that believes in dreaming big.
Yeah.
100%. If you tell yourself that this year you want to start a new business and make a profit of so and so, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's about putting in the work, truly and honestly speaking.
Yeah.
But also be very conscious of your mentality at the time, because you don't want to set a goal that's too high
big,
that you then struggle with reaching it and then it affects your mental health. So you need to strike the balance between putting in the work, because in everything that you want to do, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
But also be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you don't reach the goal, it's okay. You got somewhere.
Yeah.
You tried your best and it's okay. You don't have to now
beat yourself for not achieving and call yourself a failure.
And life is so long, guys. Life is so long. You might not reach the goal this year, but then next year you find yourself getting something even bigger.
Yeah, true.
So let's put in the work. Social media is both positive and negative in the sense that as marketers, we will push things to you. Beginning of the year, you're going to see targeted ads that are telling you, hey, do this, do that. Virgin Active, not to mention brands, but brands will tell you we have this special. And you're like, you know what, actually let me start this fitness journey. But also just be realistic with yourself. Don't allow social media to dictate what your goals should be. Have your goals, and wherever social media pushes you, be intentional in what you consume. Because some of it is good, some of it is pushing you. For example, TikTok has been so great for a lot of people for their fitness journeys because there's so much content, there's so many tips. But also, if you're just not there, don't consume it.
True.
Curate your feed. Be very intentional with what you allow yourself to consume.
In just one answer, I got so many nuggets, and I'm busy trying to make mental notes for myself to say, she said, be gentle with yourself. And now she's saying you need to know what would work for you. You know, when you go on social media, not everything that's put out there would work for you. You also need to check, where are you in life? Are you yet where you need to tap into your fitness journey? Yes, we will always say that gym is good for everyone. But sometimes you need to unpack certain layers before you get to the gym layer. You need to deal with some of the things that you haven't dealt with, maybe eating habits, maybe conversations in the house to say, guys, I struggle with this body weight, or I struggle with sleeping at night because of 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we try and change the diet? If you're living with family, it's not going to be an easy, quick change. There's other people that are involved that you need to bring along on the journey. You said so much, a mouthful. I have made mental notes, which I think I will share with people as I do the penny drops, because most of our penny drops are taken from what you say in the conversations. So as I rewatch the video, then I'll know that, on this day you said this, which links back to wellness or links back to thoughtful conversations, for example. So we often hear about the negative impact, and I think you touched on it quite a bit when you were making your point now. Social media on mental health, particularly around comparison. There is a lot of unrealistic expectations, and you touched at length on this. As someone who advocates for wellness in your life and body positivity, how do you think mindfulness can be incorporated in how people consume and create content?
I want to say we need to move away from being passive scrollers to being conscious engagers. And I say that because a lot of us just get on every app and we follow whatever's trending,
Yeah.
and we don't really take the time to ask ourselves, number one, do I care about what this person is posting about? Number two, is this healthy for me?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of creators that are doing very beautiful work, amazing work, but it's not for all of us.
Yeah.
And if you're just not in the space for that, for example, luxury content. I am one of those people that consumes luxury content. Am I living a luxury lifestyle? No. Am I going to wake up tomorrow and go buy a Louis Vuitton Neverfull? No. And if I'm in a space where my financial situation is something that's troubling me,
Yeah.
maybe I should look into not consuming that kind of content.
True.
Because then that's going to make me feel like I'm not at a certain space.
Yeah, I'm falling behind.
Yeah. And you might find that you don't necessarily have to be there. Maybe God is calling you to just get by right now.
Yeah.
And your time for unboxings is coming and it's not there right now. So we need to get into a space where we are very intentional about the content that we allow ourselves to consume. For example, it might be very controversial for me to say this as a person that works in social media. There's certain apps that I don't use.
Yeah.
I'll use it for work, but from a personal perspective, I don't go on those apps.
Yeah.
I might have a social media presence there, but it's not an app that I would go on every day because it just allows for comparison to be. For example, two of those apps, Twitter is a space that I don't use
in your personal life
pretty much at all unless I need to do it for work or if there's a story that I need to view.
Yeah.
As a person that works in social media, I need to do a lot of tactical engagement, which is when you create content that is based on what's happening socially.
Yeah.
So I need to know what's happening in the world. But I realized that for me, consuming a lot of the Twitter content every day for long periods of time wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
Because when you wake up in the morning and it's all these opinions, it clouds your view on how you view the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And you start basing your opinions on other people's perceptions. So for me, that looked like reducing the amount of time that I spend on the app and maybe not having a personal profile. I go on there on a work account to see the things that are relevant for the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Instagram is another one that I think a lot of people have to be very conscious of because it is a space that is purely visual. And when your narrative is purely visual, it is easy for you to create a perception that may not necessarily be real.
Yeah.
It is very curated, and the reality is no one is going to show you 100% of their life. And if you are in a space where you are comparing yourself to other people and you are looking for certain milestones, it can become quite toxic because you think you're not doing as well because so-and-so is doing such and such. A touchy topic right now in my age group, everyone is having children, everyone is doing this, that, and the third. If you're in a space where maybe your fertility is an issue, that might be a trigger.
It can, 100%.
Yeah. So I think it's just being self-aware,
Yeah.
doing the work to understand where you are in life,
True.
and minimizing the impact because we can't control what other people are doing. I can't say so-and-so shouldn't post this because I'm in this space.
Yeah.
Everyone has the right to post whatever they want to post, but it's just about on you being self-aware and making sure that you are creating a space for yourself in the same way that you would in your normal life. You create a buffer that when life gets hectic outside, you know that when you get home, you get to be in your space, you get your comforts. We do the same thing on social media. Create a buffer, mute certain accounts, don't go on social apps. TikTok is a good one where your algorithm is based on the things that you search, and it's quite good.
It is.
So you can really, really form it to speak to the things that are
you
good
want
for
to
you.
consume.
100%.
When you are speaking now, I'm reminded of, I read somewhere where someone was saying that we are all blessed, but we will never be equally blessed the same, and to whom much is given, much is required. So we tend to want what other people have, and we don't really spend time to ask God, where do you want me to influence? And which direction do you want me to take? I'm interested in this so-and-so's life. They inspire me, and I love how they're leading their life. But you don't know the amount of work they had to put to get there, and they will never show you that. Absolutely. As you said, we only show you a tip of an iceberg, like I am working in this job, this is what I get to do, but you don't see the work that went into me to get into that job. So guys, to whom much is given, much is required. So please pace yourself, be patient, allow yourself to really grow. Don't want to jump steps so that you can get to affording those luxury brands or whatever, but allow yourself to really enjoy not having much, because God will trust you with not having much, so that when you have a lot, you can still remember that I didn't have much at some point in time. So watch out for those social media platforms and be mindful on how you're consuming them, so that you cannot fall into the habit of comparison and feeling like you don't have much or you're falling behind. So on storytelling again, and brand with purpose, or branding with purpose, you've built a career in marketing and storytelling, as well as brand strategy, whether for business or in your personal space. How can people get into that? Like, what are some of the advice or some of the tools that you use to get yourself into storytelling and do it right, with brand identity? If I want to do it, for example, for myself, I'm not a business, but I want to do it in my personal capacity, what would you say would be a good starting point?
Funny you say that at the end, because everything and everyone is a brand.
Yeah.
You are a brand.
I'm a brand.
So in the same way that with when you're working on some sort of brand, when you're pitching for it, you look at who the brand is about, what the brand story is, what the brand origins are, what they have to offer. You then create a brand strategy to speak to the target audience based on all of those things. So with yourself as a person, especially for those that want to get into content creation, look at yourself as a brand, because you are.
Yeah.
I mean, the church, the MCSA is a brand, one of the biggest brands actually. So you as a content creator, as an aspiring content creator, you are a brand. So look at, who am I
as a brand?
What are the things that I'm interested in? What do I have to offer? And that might be a difficult one to conceptualize, because as people, most of us have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And it may take a while to figure out what it is that you have to offer, but all of us have something to offer. All of us have a unique offering. All of us have a unique gift that we have. And once you tap into that, what makes you different? What makes your story different? What is it that you can do that you think other people may maybe not be able to do? Or what skill have you honed that you can then transfer to other people?
Yeah.
So once you do that work, then I think something that a lot of people need to take into account when you are branding yourself and putting yourself out there in terms of content creation, take it seriously.
Take it seriously.
Take it very seriously.
I felt that.
Because when you are doing your own content, it's so easy to just be like,
it's content.
It's just content. I've seen a lot of people saying, now I'm a WhatsApp content creator. Yeah, but if that's something that you really find passion in, do it properly.
Yeah, and take it seriously.
Yeah, invest in your craft. Maybe one thing that I would advise for people that are going into content creation, have a content creation schedule. Space out your posts in a very intentional way. Engage with your audience. Please, guys, don't be those content creators that just post and then you disappear because you're so cool.
Yeah.
Gen Z is very different.
I feel like you're talking to me right now. Like, I'm busy saying, is she talking about me?
I'm talking about all of us. I'm dragging myself as I speak. Trust me, I'm fully dragging myself because I've wanted to go back into personal content creation, but I think as a person that works with so many brands, it becomes difficult to focus on myself.
Yeah.
So trust me, I'm dragging myself as much as I'm
Yeah.
dragging you. But Gen Z has changed the way we should
a lot of things.
operate as a people.
True.
And how we engage with our audiences. Gen Z are not passive. Gen Z are very they want to feel you. They want a relationship.
Yeah, with you.
So if you're gonna create the content, engage. And just on a side note, for those that are marketers, I know that we're given a brand Bible where one of the things that you're given is a response doc. So you'll see that on social media, you'll contact a brand, maybe tweet them and say, hey, I have this and this problem with your product. And you'll just get this message that's like, hi there, thank you for contacting.
Automated responses, yeah.
It's one of my pet peeves, and it's something that I've been very intentional with communicating with the brands that I've worked with. That, guys, in as much as we have a brand Bible and a response doc, Gen Z is not gonna take that.
Yeah, they'll be like,
you can't just copy and paste the response because I have a genuine problem.
Yeah.
So the realness and the authenticity when we want to be intentional brands that tell stories is that even when you have that response document, you need to actually look at what this person is saying. You can use your response document because we have policies to follow, but personalize it.
Yeah.
Show that you actually care
about
because
the person.
in as much as to you it doesn't matter because you're getting 50 queries about
the same thing,
everyone's Wi-Fi is down. I get it. You do this on a daily, but be humane.
Yeah.
Actually engage with people because in as much as you got 50 of them, this one person is sitting with a real problem in their one house that they are paying for this Wi-Fi for. So you as a content creator as well, a person is taking the time
to watch
your content and engage with it. The least you can do is actually speak to them like a human being. The least you can do as a content creator is understand that you're not just putting this content into a bottomless pit. You are speaking to people who you might change their life by putting the story. You might change their perception by what you have to say. So be intentional about it. And for those of us that are Christian, I would say pray about it even. You're not just gonna be a content creator for vibes. If this is something that you want to pursue genuinely, talk to God about it and say, God, I'm creating this content. I'm putting it in your hands. Use it as you will. Use me as a vessel for your work.
I wonder how many of us do that actually when it comes to content. Are we just going with the trend or do we actually ask God before in the morning, like, God, today's a new day. What do you want me to tell your people? Like, what do you want me to put out there? So I love that. I'm going to take that and run with. I'm correcting my behavior. And I'm talking to God differently, you know.
And you will be so shocked that a lot of us are gaining so much from your nuggets that you're putting out.
Yeah.
So God is already using you.
Amen. Amen. Let's pivot a little bit from work to you, personal space. I might be stepping on your toes a little bit here, but let's speak about your work in the LGBTQ community, body positivity. Where does that come from? Mental health and wellness. Also, all the other facets that you're busy with in your life, catering. What books are you reading? I want to get to know that part.
Sure. I'm a person that lives out loud.
Yeah.
I live out loud. And from the most basic things, my friends at church, Sia, Zemasa will attain that. Hey, I need to fix my face because you can see what I'm thinking on my face.
Before you even say it.
And that's my approach to everything. I do everything 100%. And everything that makes me who I am, I've made it my character.
Yeah.
So as a person in the LGBTQIA community, I've been a strong advocate for that because that is who I am. As a queer woman, I want every queer woman to feel free and open to be who they are. As Black people and some of us coming from conservative backgrounds, I think it's such a privilege for us as Methodists that we are in a church that is so accepting of us. So in an ideal world, I would like everyone to be so free to know that God loves them as they are.
True.
So that has been my messaging in, you don't have to be afraid of living out your truth. You don't have to feel judged for loving who you love. Love how you love, because God loved you first.
Yeah.
And God loved you as you are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm an advocate for everything that I believe in and who I am. In terms of body positivity, I've been a big girl my whole life. I come from a family of big people. And growing up, it was a challenge because as a person that is viewed as not conventionally attractive, you get so many limitations being put on you. Just from a physical perspective, even on small things like sports days, you would be looked at like, this one, you can't put her in the...
she can't run.
She can't run. You can't put her in the A team. She's going to make us lose.
Yeah.
Things like that. And feeling like you can't go into certain spaces because of how you look. I grew up as a very confident child, but then in my teenage years, I sort of went into my shell because now I started hearing those things.
Yeah,
I mean,
the negative
as
talk.
a child, all you know is your family. All of us are big, and my family has the most beautiful people. So I didn't see anything wrong with it because I'm like, these people
This
are
is
gorgeous.
normal.
It's fine. But then you go out there and you realize that it's seen as not normal.
Yeah.
And then you get pressures to fit into a certain mold. You get pressures to be a certain size. And lucky for me, when I got into varsity, that was the time when the body positivity movement picked up and I jumped on it. That's how I grew on Instagram at the time. I became a plus size model, a strong advocate for living truthfully in the body that you have.
Yeah.
And that journey has evolved into, for a long time it was about, if you're big, be big. But now it's more so, be whatever it is that you feel your body should be. Right now I'm on a health and wellness journey. And for me, that doesn't look like I want to be skinny. I don't.
Yeah.
I always laugh with my friends. I'm like, I want to be fit, thick. I just want to be fit. I know that, my body will get to a certain point. I don't think I'd ever get to a point where I'm skinny, and that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
I just want to be healthy because now going into my 30s, I'm more intentional about my health, how I eat.
Yeah.
So it's more so about encouraging a healthy lifestyle, whatever that looks like for you, because that's not the same for all of us.
True.
Like you said, not all of us are gym people.
Yeah.
Personally, I love the gym. Love it down. I'm a weights girl. I'm a kick and step class person.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all the things. And that may not be it for everyone, but it's just about encouraging small actions. Take a walk, do something active, take care
Move
of yourself,
your body.
take care of the body that God has entrusted you with, because this vessel has to see you through until your last day.
100%.
The least you can do is thank God for it and take care of it.
True.
In terms of other things, I'm a side hustle girl. I started doing makeup in, I think it was varsity as well.
Yeah.
I'm a self-taught makeup artist.
Oh, nice.
I do makeup as a side hustle. I don't have a page
For your makeup.
for my makeup. It's really been imposter syndrome, really. But I do makeup here and there. I am taking bookings, especially now grad season is coming up, so it's going to be quite busy. My mom and I and my sister started a catering business, so there's also that. We do catering for events in terms of plated menus. We also do takeaway menus. For example, if you're having like a memorial service and you have people there, but you don't want them to stay for lunch, we do those packed meals. We've recently started with meal prepping, which we're going to be launching soon. So it's going to be a package where everyone is living a busy lifestyle and not everyone has, not everyone has the luxury to prepare healthy meals for themselves.
Yeah.
So we want to offer up a package where you can get your meals for the week from us, and you speak to us about what you like,
eat.
what you don't
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We're not dietitians, so it's
Yeah.
not really about what your fitness goals are, but it's just about making sure that everyone has the privilege of eating a nutritious meal at the end of the day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you've touched on quite a lot of things, and you've mentioned that for your makeup, you don't have a page. Can people reach out to you on your personal page for maybe if they want to do catering work with you, if they want to hook up with you for business, for social media, like for example, myself, if I want you to sort of look at what we're doing wrong on our social media that we need to correct, can people reach out on your personal page?
Yeah, of
And
course.
what is your social media handle again?
Yeah, just to touch on that, I
Yeah.
do freelance work as well for social media. I
Amazing.
do social media, digital consulting, brand consulting. I do graphic design. As most of the church people know, I do branding.
Yeah.
But over and above church, I do branding on a personal or brand perspective. So I am available for freelance work. My handles on TikTok and Instagram are Life with Liziwe, all one word, no
Okay.
caps. Yeah, you can reach out to me there. I'm readily available. I'm open, and I'm also available on email.
Okay.
My email address is simplyliziwe@gmail.com.
On social media, TikTok and Instagram.
Yes.
It's Life with Liziwe.
Yes.
And then your email address is simplyliziwe@gmail.com.
Yes.
100%. I hope you got that. We will also try to drop it in the comment section on our social media pages so that you can get in touch with her for all things business. You know, if you want to look smart, simple makeup for work and you don't know where to begin, I'm sure she can give you a few tips there and there, classes, and then you get yourself looking all snazzy like she does. And if you want to do meal preps, you have a busy schedule, you don't have time to always come back and cook, get in touch with her so that she can also assist you on that end. And freelancing work, guys, if you're a social media person like myself, I'm sure after this conversation, we will be talking business, where she will then advise you on where you're going wrong, look at your brand, try to realign it and make sure it speaks to the messaging that you're trying to get across. Before we close, I'm going to give Lizzie, I did say that you're going to sing for us at the end, and we also need that penny drop moment. So before we sign out, we generally leave our viewers with a penny drop moment, which is a word of wisdom that you live by, that has carried you, that you always go back to, be it in good times, low lows, and wherever season of your life that you find yourself. Can you give us your penny drop moment that you live by?
A word that I live by is live truthfully, live authentically, be yourself always. In a world where smokes and mirrors are normalized, in a world where telling your truth can sometimes make you out to be a bad person, always choose the truth.
Yeah.
Always choose to live authentically. Always be your most authentic self, because you don't know who you might free with your story. You don't know who your truth may liberate.
Yeah.
So always live in your most authentic self.
I love that you said that, because there was a time where we had Kumbi, who is also in the motoring industry, and we were speaking all things social media. Word of the day on that day, it was be authentic.
Oh, wow.
So you also bringing in that element, which then makes me think that people who are in that social media space, the one thing that they always urge us to do is try not to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Always be yourself in everything that you do, and live your best truth life, if I can put it that way.
True.
Thank you so much for that. And as we sing out of social media, of Mindfulness Beyond the Mind podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, to click that notification bell to know the next time we upload an installment. Engage with us. If there's anything that you want to find out and you're trying to get hold of Lizzie but you're not sure, please do reach out to us. We will also help you with that. We Artimanica information on this page. We are all about mindfulness, self-awareness, self-care. wellness, reflections, thoughtful conversations, slow living, and self-discovery. So until next time, please take care of yourself and stay authentic to who you are. And remember, we are not all blessed the same, but God still loves you and blessed you with the gift and talent. Find that and use it for your advantage, and to also push the word of God out there. Thank you for tuning in as we sign out with singing. Over to you. Come on, give us a song.
I'm a church girl, so it has to be gospel.
Please.
Kufeswa kwamadinga sikulinde apha. Yehla moya oyingcwele usebenze apha.
Beautiful. Guys, please come join us at Calvary and then maybe become part of our church, because there's more from that. So please, bye. See you in the next one.